Mobile phone thefts have reached epidemic proportions in the UK, with over 750,000 phones stolen every year. But up in Newcastle, police are tackling the problem with a rather cunning new piece of technology.
At night, Newcastle becomes a party capital. Thousands of people descend on the bars and clubs, all intent on having a good time. But as this CCTV shows, it's also prime hunting ground for the mobile phone thief. Now Northumbria police are trialling a new high-tech way of tackling the problem.
What we've developed is software which can be downloaded onto most computer-operated devices, mobile phones, iPads, laptops, where once they get stolen, we will then track them.
Phones equipped with this technology will be used as bait to lure thieves. Tonight it's being tested in a nightclub, fitted with sensors to track what happens when the pickpockets strike.
Once the device gets stolen, we've got the Bluetooth sensors at strategic locations within the club, and then when it passes a point, we get a notification. Like right now, we're passing the DJ booth, and that's showing up on there that it's passing the DJ booth.
As with other tracking technology, Mo can use his tablet computer to see in real time exactly where the stolen phone is and when it moves. But this kit has lots more tricks up its sleeve.
We can tell if it's on a person's body, if they've got it in the pocket or if they've got it in a handbag. We can check the illuminance of it, so if it's in a handbag, we'll know that it's in a dark area, but if they've got the device outside and there's light there, we'll be able to tell that there's light there.
Tonight, an undercover officer will play the part of a thief, picking up the phone and leaving the club with it.
We're trying to do a live trial using the Stinger device. We've got an officer in plain clothes going inside a very, very busy nightclub. The officer will enter through the front door, try to work his way through the crowd. Hopefully it will activate some of the sensors we've placed within the club. He'll then come out and then we'll start tracking him once he comes out.
The would-be thief has got his hands on the bait phone and starts to make his way through the club. It's busy, but Mo is following his every move.
As you can see, there was notification that the device is about to pass the smoking area.
Having already tripped the hidden sensors inside the club, the thief seems to be heading for the door.
Right, we can see there now that the activation is at the front door.
Tracking the phone through the busy club has been a success. Now it's time to see if the phone can be monitored on the streets.
You can see now that the device is on Moseley Street. If I press this button here, I can also see where we are. We're here a distance of approximately 20 metres away. So we now can start moving towards the officer's location.
The map shows exactly where he's headed, so Mo heads off to catch up with his colleague.
And I can see that it's now stationary. When I look across the road, I can see my colleague there, exactly where the software is indicating.
Tonight's test has shown the technology works. Let's hope it's as successful when it comes to the real thing. Well, PC Mo Khan is with me now, and Mo, you've been working on this technology for a long time. We've seen some of it in the film there, but it's got so many features, hasn't it?
It does, Sean. What our technology does is it deceives the user, the thief, into believing they've turned the phone on, when in fact it's tracking it at all times. It's tracking it via GPS, but also takes images on the front camera and the rear camera.
It's really incredible. So they think the phone's just not working, it's off, and then you're able to take these photographs, see the photographs, but also there can be messages recorded as well. It picks up sound.
That's correct. We can listen in on the conversation, which will also be recorded and used in evidence at a later stage.
Great. Tell us though about who you're tracking down with this. I mean, who are stealing all these phones?
We know that the involved in theft of mobile phones is an organised element. Organised crime groups are targeting vulnerable people, intoxicated people in nightclubs, bars and sort of music venues.
So it's not just street crime then, it can be at these huge events, and that's where another bit of kit comes in, doesn't it, that you've devised as part of this. So on the tablet you'd be following the phone as it makes its progress, as we saw there in the film. But you've got this scanner, handheld device, and we've got some volunteers here who are not offenders. I'm very keen to point that out. We're going to be talking to them later in the programme. So what would you do then to see whether they did have a mobile phone on them?
So, Sean, we know that at music venues, these organised groups will come in large groups. They'll all have individual roles. They'll take a large quantity of phones. They'll try to maximise their efforts whilst they're in there, get as many phones as they can. So what we then have developed is using thermal imaging to identify unique heat signatures coming from their body.
Because often they hide these phones in the trousers. That's the trick, isn't it?
They do, that's correct.
So you would point the device at them. So from quite a distance, it's not a case of going up close and scanning.
No, we can be up to 3 metres away from them. And as I look now, I can see that there's sort of a unique heat signature down at the bottom of the ankles where we know that phones are kept.
So that is the darker patch then.
That is the darker patch
And
there.
some of these offenders are actually wearing 2 pairs of trousers, aren't they, as well?
That's correct. What we find that they've done is they'll get like sort of masking tape and tie up around the knee areas, around the ankle areas, and where they'll put their mobile phones down there. So if they do get challenged, because they're wearing 2 pairs of trousers, the first pockets will empty and show, well, I don't have anything on them. But whereas we know what they're doing and we can track them.
So you've got to stay one step ahead. Just briefly, give us some advice then for people looking after their mobile phones.
Sure. Prevention's always the key. Be aware of your surroundings. Be sort of aware that there are people out there that will be looking to steal your mobile phones. Keep them safe, keep them secure.
Brilliant advice. Thanks very much, Mo, and for showing us all the kit.